Hello, welcome back to the channel. My name is Lisa Elvin Staltari, and I am a genealogist and a passionate traveler. Over the last several years, I have been focusing my attention on les filles du roi and les filles mariées, the king's daughters and the marriageable girls. I've also been doing some travel videos and anything that kind of strikes my fancy. I've got a new series that I've been doing, which is French influences in the United States. So stay tuned. I've done 2 already, different states, and I'm working on the 3rd one as we speak. So before we begin, let me show you ways you can support the channel. The first 3 keep you in the know: subscribe, like, and notify. The other 3 are ways to help the channel itself grow. So we have Patreon, which is a monthly subscription where you can donate $1, $10, or $25. And then we also have the Coffee platform, which you can donate once. And we also have my PayPal button on my website. And if you would like to purchase this episode, please go on my website, click on Shop, and it will lead you to explain how to do that. So with that being said, let's get started and explore our Filles du Roi. Today we're going to have a look at episode 275. Can you believe we're already there? This episode was requested by a viewer, and then when I looked in my files, yes, that famous boy next door I grew up with, this is also one of his great-grandmothers. So let's get to know Catherine a little bit better. Catherine was born in 1638 in the beautiful town of Dieppe, France. Her parents were Charles Topsan and Marie Clémence. Now, Dieppe is part of the famous Normandy region, and inside of that we have the département of Seine-Maritime. Remember that département is like a county for us. That church that you see photographed there, that is the Saint-Jacques Church of Dieppe, and this is where she was presumably baptized. It actually dates back to the 12th century. Dieppe, of course, is known for that famous World War II battle, but it was first noticed as a fishing village in 1030. It became at one point the #1 port in middle century France. Another claim to fame was its revered school of cartography, i.e. map making. In the 15th century, 2 graduates from that school left for the New World and established the first French colony in 1564. Fort Caroline, which predates St. Augustine, if you can believe that. After her mother's death, Catherine would decide to become a fille du roi. She would arrive in New France on September 25th, 1667, aboard the Saint Louis de Dieppe, and she would bring with her goods worth about 300 pounds. Now, she was 29 years old at this point, which, as you know, in that period was a fairly older fille du roi. So let's have a look at how her life progressed. She would select, and who would select her, his name, Julien Dumont de Lafleur, born 1648 in Bernières-le-Pétry, in France, of course. His parents were Jacques Dumont and Marie Maubert. Now, you will note that he is also from the Normandy region, but his département is the next one over, Calvados. Now, his little commune, because that's what they call little villages in France, is 529 people live there. The church that he would have presumably been baptized in, Saint Gerbold, dates from that period of time, probably 13th or 14th century. And it is now part of the Val d'Allier amalgamation. This is what happens a lot in France. The small communes get kind of merged into others, probably for financial reasons and that sort of thing. So you kind of want to know the trajectory of where your people have come from and what it is now. So she arrived in September, and she's married by November 2nd, 1667. They were married at Quebec City. Where did they settle? They would settle at the famous Ile d'Orléans, which is located in the St. Lawrence River, about 3 miles east of downtown Quebec City. The island was one of the very first parts of the province to be colonized by the French, and a large percentage of French Canadians can truly trace their ancestry to the early residents of this island. The island has been described as a microcosm of traditional Quebec and as the birthplace of Francophones in North America. Officials later changed the name to Ile d'Orléans in honor of the second son of King Francis I, Henri II, the Duke of Orléans. The island was also known as Grande Ile, Sainte Marie, and Saint Laurent for certain periods in the 17th and 18th centuries. And I bring that up again to let you know that the place names might not seem, you'd be like, Sainte Marie, where's that? So you need to know that Ile d'Orléans wasn't always called that. The early French settlers were truly attracted to the island because of its extremely fertile soil. And if you can look at the map in the middle here, I have demonstrated that there are, or the map demonstrates that there are 6 very distinct places on the island: Sainte-Pétronille, Saint-Pierre, Sainte-Famille, Saint-François, Saint-Jean, and Saint-Laurent. The very first parish to be established was Sainte-Famille. Now, it is an amazing place, and as many of you who listen to my channel know, I was just there last summer, and it truly was life-altering on some level to be there where my ancestors had been and had walked. And some of my earliest ancestors actually were there. And so it was really a profound, moving experience, and it is extraordinarily beautiful. So with that being said, let's have a look at how they grew their family. I remember that Catherine would begin her family at age 29 or 30. The first child would die in infancy. Her second child would also die in infancy. Finally, remember there Marie, Marianne, and a third Marianne. Finally, she lived to adulthood, and she married Jean-Baptiste Nadeau and had 10 children, 5 of whom made it to adulthood. Catherine, her fourth child, married Jean Royer and would have 12 children, 5 of whom made it to adulthood. We have Charles François. We have no other information. And then we have an unnamed boy who also died in infancy. And then finally, we have Julien, who married Angélique Tourneroche and would have 9 children, 4 of whom made it to adulthood. So all in all, that was a fairly good start to their family, although, of course, infant mortality being what it was. In the 1681 census, we do see the smaller family. We have Juliet, her husband, 33. Look at Catherine. She's 43 years old. We have their children, Marie, that Marianne. Then we have Catherine and Charles. Julien had not yet been born. They have 3 bêtes à cornes, which is like 3 goats or a horned animal. And they have 4 arpents. So they have about 1.5 acres of land, almost 2. And so they're kind of building their family. Catherine would die in December of 1693 at the age of 55, which even in those days was fairly young. She and Julien had been married 26 years. She would leave us with only 39 descendants, and this line, however, continues as evidenced by my viewers' request. So it's not where you start, it's where you finish. So unfortunately, she wasn't able to live a full life, but what she gave us was enough to leave a lasting imprint. Twist, Julien would find love again with a fille du roi's daughter, Marie Targer, who was the fille du roi. Marie-Madeleine Tourneroche was born in 1679, making her very much younger. I also will put in the YouTube video that we did of Marie Targer, and so you can explore that. If you're If your line of the family comes from this side, then I will be exploring the second family that he created with Marie-Madeleine Tourneroche. Here are the 7 children that he would have with Marie-Madeleine that I have information on. Madeleine would marry René Pruneau and would have 2 children, both of whom made it to adulthood before her own early death at age 22. Marguerite would marry Louis-Joseph Morel and would have 3 children, all of whom would make it to adulthood. She would also have a natural child, Bridget, whose father we do not know. François married Perrine Lacroix and would only have 1 child, but that child did make it to adulthood. Marie-Anne would pass away, we're not sure when. Jean-Baptiste would marry Geneviève Montabert and would have 4 children, all of whom would make it to adulthood. Charles would marry Geneviève Beribault and would have 7 children, 6 of whom would make it to adulthood. Marie-Suzanne would marry Guillaume Deneau and would have 1 child before who made it to adulthood before her early death at 29. Julien would pass away at age 67 and was buried the 17th of May, 1715. He would actually be buried at La Durante. They had obviously moved by this point, or he was living with one of his children. Not sure of that information. As befits a final tribute, Julien and Catherine are both inscribed on that memorial to the 300 or so families that are the founding families of Ile d'Orléans. It was my privilege, my honor to stand before that last summer, and I took so many pictures. I was able to capture all of the different alphabets, if you will. So this is my photograph. These are actually both of my photos, and be able to actually zero in on Catherine and Julien. Just an amazing, amazing tribute to them. And so ends episode 275, Catherine Topsan. We are amazed always by how those lives intersect, and also the fact that she was one of those pioneers at Ile d'Orléans, just amazing. Although her life was cut short, her actual legacy and all of that continues on to this day. So we are ever so grateful to Catherine for giving of herself, for being there, for being a helpmate to her husband, and ultimately for having to leave us so early, probably due to all that she had endured. With that being said, thank you, Catherine. We honor your memory. I also want to say thank you to my patrons, supporters, and subscribers. You are amazing. Thank you ever so much for everything you do on a daily basis, actually, to kind of keep this channel growing and kind of going in different directions. So I really appreciate all your support and your words of encouragement. Thank you. And with that, I will see you on episode 276 of Les Filles du Roi. Until then, au revoir.